Good morning. Welcome to Morning Expresso. You're watching Indian Express. I'm Charulata Biswas. As we wait for the results of the Assembly elections of 2022, here are the top reads from today's edition of the Indian Express. The big story. The Union Cabinet has approved the setting up of the National Land Monetization Corporation (NLMC) to monetize surplus land and building assets of central public sector enterprises and other agencies linked to the government. The monetization of idle land is part of the centre's strategy to reduce its business presence to a bare minimum and generate resources for future asset creation. Responding to the statements made by German Ambassador to India Walter Lindner at an idea exchange event hosted by the Indian Express, Russia's ambassador-designate to India, Denis Alipov, writes, Lindner says that Russia is bending history. Well, it's high time you open your eyes, Mr. Ambassador, for the US has been doing precisely that for the past 20 years, obsessed with the notion of unrivaled global dominance and feeding you and the world the very same fake narrative of which you accuse Russia. Let's have a look at the front page. On the eve of the counting of votes in Uttar Pradesh, the Election Commission announced that the Delhi Chief Electoral Officer would be deputed as Special Officer in Meerut, while the Bihar CEO would supervise counting in Varanasi. The poll body also announced the suspension of 3 poll officials in UP amid allegations of irregularities by Samajwadi Party. The National Medical Commission (NMC) has removed the upper age limit for the National Eligibility-cum-Entrance Test, Undergraduate, that is NEET-UG, for admission to MBBS courses across the country. Till now, the upper age cap was 25 years for unreserved candidates and 30 years for reserved candidates. Amid the Russian invasion into Ukraine, Indian Embassy in Ukraine has said that Indian students from Sumy city, who were among the last major groups to be evacuated from the East European country, were likely to be flown home on Thursday from Poland. Here are the must-reads. While the counting of votes is set to take place in 5 different states today, all eyes are on Uttar Pradesh. With 403 assembly seats, UP is broadly categorized politically and culturally into 4 regions: Paschim, Central, Bundelkhand and Purvanchal, with parties tailoring their message to each as election 2022 progressed. We take a look at the main contenders in each region and break down what is at stake. And like in every election that has taken place in the recent past, this time too, questions were raised over the movement of EVMs. With counting set to take place today, we take a look at the arrangements made by the Election Commission to secure the journey of an EVM from the strong room to the polling station and back. When Indian students found themselves trapped in Ukraine amid a worsening war, varsity agents emerged as their saviors, helping arrange food, accommodation, and transport. These agents are usually the first point of contact for Indian students abroad. They facilitate the admission, provide logistical support, and assist in dealings with the respective university. When the Indian Embassy in Ukraine urged all of its citizens to evacuate the country, these agents rose to the occasion. One of them is Hardeep Singh, who owns the Bob Trade Education Group. He said the day they reached Piosin, the students slept hungry. The next day, he was able to provide them with soup and bread, and he helped the embassy arrange buses too. In Jharkhand's Godda district, a group of over 1,500 women were able to earn more than 1.8 crores in wages in all between 2018 and 2020 by supplying uniforms to government schools. The Godda model was hailed by NEET-UG as one that could be replicated across the state. But in 2020, an inquiry initiated by a local Congress MLA on allegations of irregularities stalled their wages. Now the Jharkhand government has denied the allegations, saying that there were no irregularities in the supply of uniforms to government schools by the women tailors. News coming from the sports world. History is written by the victors, it is said. But in sport, the autobiographies of the vanquished get read too. When excerpts from the biographies of Sachin Tendulkar and Shane Warne mutate, an unheard version of one of Indian cricket's favorite cricketing tales is born. Disclaimer: Warne, by his own admission, ended second best to Tendulkar, who was in the form of his life. But like always, the greatest leg spinner with the biggest heart never gave up. In today's Delhi Confidential, every morning for 6 months, Tripura CM Biplab Kumar Dev has been visited by a friendly woodpecker who would knock on his window panes just as he was about to start his morning workout. Now, the Chief Minister is using visuals of the woodpecker on social media to promote his state. According to Dev, the bird makes him think about the enriched biodiversity of Tripura. And finally, in today's episode of the Three Things podcast, we talk about EVM machines. We also discuss the evacuation of Indian students from SUMI and the NMC scrapping the upper age limit criteria. That's the news wrap from my end. For the latest updates, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, The Indian Express. Thank you for watching.